Hello, this is Gilgamesh. I went and saw Evil Dead Burn. Now, here's the thing. This movie, connects back to The Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. And kind of Evil Dead 3. Through the character of Susan, right here. Susan here turns out to be the daughter of Professor Knowles from the first two Evil Dead. The Evil Dead movies. Right here, Professor. First time we hear about Professor Knowles, he goes into the woods, he brings the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, and he starts translating. Unfortunately, he releases the Deadites, and then we get back to this movie, and it's played by a different actor, but, and essentially he, takes his wife in the woods, and he's doing the same thing, translating from the Book of the Dead, and released the Deadites again, and unfortunately possesses his wife. Now his daughter Annie was sent to recover the Cardarian dagger. And for Evil Dead Burn, it's a smaller one, this one, but this is the original, and it looks really cool. So I just wanted to point that out. Once again, this is Susan, and she's the daughter of Professor Knowles. So this movie starts out, we see two men who have gone, they're in their they're kind of doing crayfish, which are, these tangled, and essentially one of them goes to the bathroom, and then the other catches a head, decomposing head, and then all of a sudden, things go to hell, and there's a deadite that he sees come out of the water, and then it's, and the two guys get summarily killed by this deadite who starts walking. And we then cut to, we're at William and Annie Price's, Annie married, and she's from France, her character's from France, and she was a photographer. So her husband mentioned that he bought her this camera to help her with her photography. And so Susan married into the Price family. So Polly is her husband, is Edgar Price's mother. That's what threw me off at first. So we have a birthday party going on at the restaurant that William and his wife run. And he proceeds to give his brother a gift for both of them, which turns out to be a very expensive pen. Because he wants to help him, he thought getting this pen would help him complete his novel, his fourth novel that he started. His wife didn't know this, but then she presents a photo, a gift, and this is the problem with Will. He gets very angry really quick. He has an anger problem. And he snaps, and it's a photo of Joseph and his girlfriend, Thea, I think that's how you pronounce her name. And of course, Will goes off on Alice, and Alice walks away to go have a smoke. And William, he really does have this he's not a very good person. As the movie goes on, you find out that he's just not a good person. And he gets into an argument with his wife, and then he's been drinking, but of course, he gets in his vehicle and he drives off. And the deadite, the chick that's basically the deadite, stops in the middle of the road, and Will ends up hitting her, and the vehicle crashes, and then her head and she's lying there, her head, and she goes, "We found you." So basically, the Deadites in this movie are looking for the Candari dagger. So they know about that Will is the grandson of Professor Knowles. And so they're after the dagger because they can destroy it, then nothing can stop them. And so, and this thing obviously reads from the Necronomicon, because all Deadites know the Necronomicon, and burns Will alive. Then, we meet later, there's a funeral going to happen, and Alice shows up with Joseph and his girlfriend, of course. Susan, she's not a terrible person. She's kind of like realized family's everything to her. She's nothing. She even mentioned that she's nothing without her family, and so she knew that her son. And I do believe that she, her husband, and her brother knew that Will was an absolute abusive piece of shit, and they just turned a blind eye to it because family's everything, and yeah. Oh, there's a scene in the movie that, and if you've seen the trailer, basically, okay, the Deadites, essentially, there's a point at the funeral where, Susan's talking to, about Will and everything, wishing he was back, and then his dad wants to, see him, and the mortician allows him, allows him in there, and then he hears a sound, and it sounds like from the coffin breaks and gets touched. Well, this is how the Deadites in this movie possess you, and so he slowly starts getting possessed by one of the Deadites, the same one that has Will. Yeah, that comes out later in the movie. I don't want to give that away. This is really well done. So they have the funeral. The father, Edgar Price. Everybody's good in this. There's no bad performance. They get home, and they ask about why she's not wearing her wedding ring. If you see at the beginning, when she's going to the funeral, she basically left her wedding ring on the table. So she didn't sell it, but they asked her if she sold it, and she said no. They bring up something about, because we find out that he did abuse her and he burned her. And they keep the possessed, those that are possessed by the Deadites ask her, did you enjoy what Will did to you? Is that why you stayed with him? And here's what people don't understand about people that are in domestic violence, whether it's male or female, is that they think they love the person, and they think some of them, they think they deserve to get abused. Others, they think that if they just stay with them, they'll change and they don't. Abusive people don't ever change. And the family knew, all families know that they have an abusive member of their family. Yeah. And they know that when, Alice was being abused and they did nothing to stop the abuse, So, yeah. So essentially, the father starts showing signs, and he gets fully possessed by a Deadite and kills the dog with a fork. Oh, they play on this whole thing where where Alice takes away the knife and everything, because he's starting to talk really crazy. Yeah. And then he eventually picks up, I think it's a fork, and he stabs the dog to death, kills it. And so he ends up looking like he needs, medical attention, gets hit in the head, falls, hits his head. Then his son, Joseph, and Taya, they decide to go, to take him to the hospital, get him medical attention, and that does not go well. Now he's possessed, ends up basically attacking both of them in the car. This movie is violent as shit. And of course, from the trailer, you see Tanya's fingers get cut off, and then, she gets possessed. And Joseph abandons her. He's a straight up coward in this movie. He does. He gets out of the vehicle and basically doesn't do anything to save his girlfriend when she's killed. In the trailer, you see her later, and she's got a seat, the neck rest of a car, in her, and she, pushes it out. Well, the dog gets brought back by a Deadite, possesses him, because Alice decides that she finds the information that Joseph's mother wanted him to throw up, but she finds it, starts reading from three of their incantations, which clearly it allows one of the Deadites to possess the dog, and it comes at her. And then she gets in the house, and then all of a sudden Joseph comes and he's panting, and then they get a knock on the door, and it's Taya, I think. And she comes in, and oh, this is fucked up. And so, yeah. And she does the whole thing where she pushes the thing out, and she drinks the candle, says, to your perfect family. And then, there's nothing from that isn't in the trailer. And then we get where she, comes after Joseph, and basically he's dishwasher is open, and his mother left it open because Susan was loading the dishwasher, forgot to close it, and so he falls on it, gets kind of pricked by this stuff, not really serious, he screams a little bit, but he had to cut a scene down. I'll explain. The director explained there was a scene in the movie that happens to Taya. I'm just gonna say Taya, that where her boyfriend out, she's been knocked down the stairs and lying down. He takes the dishwasher door and he starts pounding it from a distance, pounds her head in. But the director had filmed it up closer so you get more of what was happening. But they said when they looked at it, they said that's too much. If you don't cut that back, we're going to give you NC-6. So we cut that close scene up, but it's violent, it's gory, yeah. And they keep telling, they want the Kandari dagger to destroy it. And Alice has to take on this family of who, she points this out to Joseph that, yeah, you guys knew he was abusive. And the possessed ones keep bringing up, did you enjoy what Will did to you? Is that why you stayed? And like I said, the problem with, people don't understand about people who abuse other people is that it's not, there's two ways to look at it. She either loves her husband and just thought he might change over time. That is a reason. Two, she feels trapped, like she has no way out of this because she's not from America. She's from France, so she has nobody here that knows her. And so, yeah, and that's another reason why she feels she can't get out. His family and everything, they don't like her. They see her, except for Joseph, everybody in the family really doesn't like her. They feel she's an outsider. And so she feels trapped in this loveless marriage. And it's obviously a loveless marriage. It might not have started that way because Alice didn't see what Will was really like. But it's clear his family knew that he was a monster. And yeah, and like I said, this ties directly to the first movie because Alice, she finds out about their family and everything that, about the Necronomicon, and she finds the, bag that he was, and starts reading the information, and then she has to find the Kardarian. They want, like I said, they keep mentioning about the Kardarian dagger. It's not the same from the original, from the Evil Dead 2. This was the original one. This one is the one that's in the movie. This is the one they're using for the movie. It's a lot different. It's not as big as the original. And so, yeah, like I said, this is the original one. The original Kardarian dagger that they use in the original Evil Dead. And so they changed it up for this movie and came with it, just like everything they'll come up with. And if you look at it carefully, it kind of looks like a finger. Yeah, it is. It literally is a finger. It almost looks like a finger with the blade, and it's wrapped together. But yeah, this version of the Kardarian dagger, unlike this one, the original from Evil Dead 2. And so, yeah. And so essentially, the more you learn about what Alice has gone through, it's like, yeah, we get flashbacks of his abuse of her, and you have a family that just kind of is shit. I mean, I get that Susan hit her father because she felt that he abandoned them, but the truth was he didn't abandon them. He was trying, he was always trying to find a way to stop the. Oh, and they mentioned in the movie, in Evil Dead Burn, there's a group who's also messing with this whole thing. He brings up at the beginning, there's a group of, the first time they brought up the whole thing about another group that's been, with the whole Deadites and everything, and the Necronomicon, and so yeah. And so, yeah, and Will is an asshole in this movie. The actor does a good job of playing, George Poller does a good job of playing Will. He has this short fuse and loses it that quickly, and then the end of the movie is, yeah, it's messed up. And then there's some big credit scene that involves Polly because she gets fully taken over by a Deadite, and it's nasty how it happens. Possessed Tanya walks up the stairs and finds and the old woman gets her to come out. And, she lets her out basically, you're going to return what you stole. And she's like, yeah. And then she's up the stairs, she comes up and basically takes out the woman's dentures and puts it in her mouth. Oh, this is so disgusting. And then puts it back in her mouth. Yeah. And then she's going, where's your leg? And then Alice comes out of nowhere and knocks her down the stairs. And this is where Joseph comes with the and starts bashing her face and obliterates her, kills her. And yeah, this movie's gory as shit. And it's very well done. And like I said, there's one more scene after the credits, which ties back to Evil Dead Rise. And it's like, oh, so now this can happen. I don't want to give anything away because it's like, yeah. But it really does tie it back to it ties back to the first two movies very well. I mean, they even say right here, this ties, yeah. Also current, yeah, this company, like, I mean, the whole thing was this does directly connect back to the original movie, first two with the Professor Knowles, and Alice is sort of on the outside, and she's, as you find out, if the families are very, like, kind of territorial, they're kind of like, they don't like outsiders, and so it's obvious family, even though Susan tries to be nice towards, obvious the family does not like Alice, because they feel that, she belonged to Will even after death. Like, where's your wedding ring? Did you sell it? No, she left it. And they knew that Will was an absolute, and she brings this up to Joseph. You guys knew he was an abusive piece of shit. Yeah, you stood by and did nothing. And she shows the scar, and his mother Susan asked this, did you, when she's possessed by the evil deadites, they say, did you stay with it because you enjoyed it? How do you answer that? No, I didn't stay because I enjoyed it. She stayed because she had nowhere else to go. Where was she going to go? She's in a country of America. It's not her country. She's from France, and she has nobody in this country that knows her except for the people around the Price family. And so she's trapped. And I enjoyed this. I thought, yeah, I can't wait for the next one. And the director really should. I hope he does direct the next one because he did a fantastic job with this. And I'm like, yeah. And the director, go back to the top, it's this guy, Sebastian Von Vanik. Yeah, I think he's only done one other big movie, and that was Infested, which I've done a review of, and it's fucking nasty as shit. So yeah, it's worse. He's actually got a talent. I hope when they do whatever the next one is, he directs it, because this takes talent to do what he did and make it violent and make the story make sense. And so yeah, this movie hit July. I saw it twice because the first time I saw it I was confused about Polly, because we find out that she's Professor Knowles' daughter, but her mother's dead. And then that turns out that's her mother-in-law. Then everything made sense. Yeah, so it's if you like violent if you like the Evil Dead series and like, Rise and everything where they have a lot of violence, this movie will fit. And even the sort of, I wouldn't call it really a remake, the Evil Dead one with Maya, they originally planned to connect that to the Sam Raimi planned to originally do another film that would have connected Ash to Mia, but instead he then turns around and does the Ash vs. the Evil Dead, where they bring in the original Kandari dagger into the series, and yeah, we go back to Ash's hometown, and ironically, this is the first time where they go to this. The movies are now in New Zealand because Rob Tabertoy, Lucy Lawless for the show is I think the first time they actually filmed not in the U.S. but they filmed in New Zealand, and then when Evil Dead Rise came, they filmed it there too, and then this one was also filmed there. And so yeah, this is really fun, entertaining movie. It's violent, it's gory, yeah, but it connects the first two, well, I'd say the first three because of Professor Knowles, and then brings back after the credits, there's another scene that goes right back to Evil Dead Rise. So they're skipping the Mia one altogether, but yeah. So this movie, I highly recommend it. It's violent, it's gory, it's fun to watch. So yeah, this is Gilgamesh. I will talk to you later. Bye.